Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. For more than 2 long years, the institutional left told us they knew exactly what the Mueller report would say. They said it would end the Trump presidency and save this nation. Congressman Adam Schiff, who sits on the Intel Committee and would know, gave us a preview. Schiff said that he had seen with his own eyes proof that the President of the United States colluded criminally with the government of Russia. BuzzFeed, a noted cat blog, said it had conclusive evidence that Trump obstructed justice. ABC News momentarily tanked stock prices when it reported that Trump had ordered his national security advisor to talk to the Russians, and so on. The Mueller report is going to prove all of these stories true. And then the report came out, and it turns out that none of it was true. It was all a lie. So how did the people who told and repeated those lies respond? Well, they could have done what decent people do. They could have resigned their jobs, tearfully apologized for misleading our country, and then moved to Paraguay in shame. They could have done that, but they didn't. Instead, they did what they always do. They became more aggressive. They decided that actually the Mueller report vindicated everything they've been saying since 2016. It's all there. It's just being hidden by that dastardly Attorney General, Robert Barr. William Barr. Whatever. Barr. Suddenly, Barr was right up there with Putin and George Papadopoulos as an enemy of the people.
Are you talking about just having him sit for a hearing or locking him up somehow?
You have to have him sit for a hearing, and I think you have to have him locked up unless he agrees to participate and come to the hearing.
The House and the Senate, each chamber has an inherent power to compel a witness to testify if that witness just refuses. And that includes arrest, and it even includes jail. The House is powerless unless the House takes some action.
We have what's called inherent contempt proceedings, which means we send the sergeant of arms out to handcuff the individual who is declining to testify.
Who are you going to handcuff?
Well, I'm going to start with Mr. Barr.
These people are fascists. Cuff him! Lock him up! Send him to jail. The man who's been Attorney General for less than 3 months must be imprisoned for his crimes, whatever those crimes are, and the president must go on trial, too. Now, you might think that being cleared of collusion by the Mueller report would be good news for Trump, but no. It just means he must be impeached.
To invite a foreign power to participate in our elections, to obstruct justice and cover up during the investigation. There must be consequences. There must be accountability. We must get behind the House of Representatives as they pursue impeachment for this president.
He almost wished his campaign wasn't over, that it would go on forever. So every night we get new clips of the hat and the bouncing and the hand gestures. So great. But did you hear what he said? He said, impeached, no matter what the cost. Impeachment is a theological imperative. Watch.
Are you concerned that impeachment talk may actually help the president's reelection?
I'm concerned that if we don't impeach this president, he will get reelected.
Impeach him before the people choose him as their president again. That's how democracy works. Now, watching all this, you might assume that the left has lost control of itself, and you would be half right. The Democratic base has been emotionally incontinent for quite some time. They're getting worse, not better, and you can thank the internet for that. But the people who run the party are not crazy. They are coolly rational. They always have been. They want power. That's all they want, whatever it takes. These people don't throw fits unless it serves some higher political purpose. And this fit does serve a higher purpose. They're trying to divert attention from a much bigger story. Remember when Trump said the Obama administration had been spying on his campaign? The Democratic Party's bootlickers went absolutely crazy the second he said it. They rushed to the nearest television studio to mock the very idea.
President Trump has a new favorite word, and every time he uses it, he is lying. And that is the word spy.
His baseless claims of spies.
This so-called spy issue, first of all, there's absolutely no evidence there was a spy. So it's really a fake issue.
He wants you to believe that his campaign was spied on, and it's one of the worst things that we've ever seen from government.
I think looking back, the VCR, one of the great inventions in human history, maybe fire the wheel, the VCR, because it allows us to preserve people's claims on tape. and then play them back. The group you just saw were hysterical at the idea that Trump might believe there was spying on his campaign. They were hysterical because they suspected it might actually be true. And now we know that it was. In fact, according to recent testimony from a high-ranking FBI official, the spying turned out to be far more extensive than Trump suspected. Even James Clapper had to concede that.
Using undercover agents is a standard and legitimate technique that is widely used in investigations. That technique has been used to thwart a lot of counterterrorism plots in this country. So I'm sure, I mean, there are protocols and standards for using an agent, and I'm sure that's the case here.
Was it spying?
Well, yeah, I guess it meets the dictionary definition of surveillance or spying, a term I don't particularly like.
Yeah, the guy who ran the spy agency doesn't like the word spying. Eric Felton broke the story that there may have been more than one government informant embedded in Trump's campaign. He wrote it for National Review Online, and he joins us on the set tonight. Eric, thanks a lot for coming on.
Tucker, how you doing?
I feel like most people who thought maybe Trump was onto something kind of vindicated tonight, but even those of us who thought there might have been spying, I think, are not prepared to learn what you've reported, which is it was real spying.
Well, what's interesting about it is you had Jonathan Moffa, who's Deputy Assistant Director of the FBI, sort of head of intelligence analysis, and he was put together with Pete Strzok. You remember Peter Strzok?
Very well.
As the core two people and putting together the Trump investigation, the Trump-Russia investigation at the beginning of August 2016. And Pete Strzok sent a text message, always the text messages from Pete Strzok, in which he wanted to organize what they were going to talk about at their sort of first organizational meeting. And at their first organizational meeting, they talked about CHSs, confidential human sources, and liaison, which is an FBI term for working with spy agencies, whether it's the CIA or foreign agencies. So from the get-go, right from the beginning of the investigation, using spies was on the table as one of the things that the team was going to use.
So now there's evidence that there was more than one.
Right. We know that that Christopher Steele was a confidential human source.
Right.
And we know that Stefan Halper was a confidential human source. This is the Cambridge professor. And we know that Azra Turk, pretending to be Stefan Halper's assistant, was some kind of informant.
Now, some of these people were paid with tax dollars, correct?
Oh, yeah. No, Stefan Halper has, over the years, gotten paid lots and lots of money. He does analysis papers for the Defense Security Agency, writing position papers that he gets paid $300,000 for. And it ends up being a way in which the money for Stefan Halper is paid out of the sort of black bag. But what's interesting is Jonathan Moffa, in closed-door testimony back in August on Capitol Hill, was asked just how many confidential human sources there were in the investigation. And he couldn't answer the question. If it had just been one or two or three, that would have been easy. Instead, he had to say, well, there were confidential human sources. I just don't know how many there were.
Shocking. And shocking. Hopefully we will know. Thank you for that report.